Oh, he's looking at vegetables and he's grocery shopping. What an amazing thing. Our elites going to a grocery store, deigning to sit among us. We'll talk about that, and I'll play that clip for you. It'll be a great show. Looks like the YouTube stream went down. Sorry about that. The internet is a little crappy this morning, but we'll do our best to get the stream back up. If you're able to watch us on YouTube, we appreciate it. If not, don't forget, you can always watch us over at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Or it looks like the Rumble feed is up. So AP for Liberty over on Rumble. At 7:30 today, Aiden Johnson is the Director of Federal Affairs for Gun Owners of America. He's going to talk to us today about Joe Biden's unconstitutional executive orders on gun control. Aiden Johnston will be joining us today at 7:30 this morning. Able to watch us on to talk about the Joe Biden's move on guns. And on that note, don't forget that apforlibertyshop.com is giving away, well, it's not technically an AK-47, it's an AK pattern is what they like to call it. It's an AK in 9mm, which was hilarious. I can't wait to talk about this a little bit later. But apparently people were complaining yesterday that I was giving away a free gun, but they weren't complaining for the reasons that you might think. They were complaining that it wasn't a real AK-47. First of all, a real AK-47 is full auto, and I would love to give away a free AK-47, but I can't afford a free AK-47 because those things cost tens of thousands of dollars and require you to go through all sorts of, hoop jumping in order to get one. And then second of all, any other AK-47 is just semi-automatic, but they were complaining that it was not a real AK-47 because it was chambered in 9mm. First of all, I wanted to keep this for myself. Should I keep I'll tell you what. If you guys don't want the free AK, then I'll just keep it myself. What do you think? No? All right, fine. I'll give away the AK, but in order to get a free entry, all you've got to do is go to apforlibertyshop.com and get yourself just drop your email over at the website and you'll get a free entry. Also, you do get a free entry actually not a free entry, but you do get an entry if you've ever bought from apforlibertyshop.com. So if you want to make a purchase there, you also get an entry as well. At 8 o'clock this morning, Camelia Peterson joins us to talk about the stupidity of zero tolerance. Yes. In Missouri, this is relevant because MoDOT, Department of Transportation, is trying to pass a no texting while driving law in the state of Missouri. They want to have zero tolerance for texting while driving. Never mind the fact that it's already illegal to be distracted while driving. But oh no, for the nanny staters in the country, if they don't seem like they're doing something, then they don't get additional funding. So they always have to have, this is why government grows, because bureaucrats go out and they're like, we have to look like we're concerned about things. We're doing something, right? We're protecting you. So that's why we get these zero tolerance policies and laws, and they never make any sense. So we'll talk about that this morning with Camelia Peterson. She'll be joining us at 8 o'clock this morning. It'll be a great show. Looking forward to having you here today. Nice to see you, Jared Pierce, Doug H., Mary Kramer. Good to see you. You get what you get and don't throw a fit, like the daycare would say, Mary. I appreciate that injunction. Thank you. At 8:30 this morning, comedian Lou Perez is going to be joining us, and I'm looking forward to hearing his take on Greta Thunberg's deleted tweet. Greta Thunberg's predictions of gloom and doom and climate disaster 5 years ago, and she said that if we don't stop oil and gas in 5 years, then we will have a disaster and catastrophe. Why we allow autistic children to lead the world. Yeah, you know what? We like to sing the song back in the 1980s. I remember when I was a little kid, we used to sing, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Unless they're autistic, in which case we probably need a caveat. Can we get an update to that song? Because honestly, I don't know if the children really are our future anymore. Stupid kids grow up into stupid adults, like Sam Harris, who says that conservative commentators shouldn't have opinions on vaccines or climate change. What is that? He's a prominent writer, as the Daily Caller likes to describe him here, and podcaster. I like that they call him a prominent writer and podcaster. That's very funny. Usually whenever a news outlet calls someone a podcaster, it's meant as a slight, or it's supposed to be an attack. I remember one time I was talking to Cliff Maloney when he was working at Young Americans for Liberty. and he says that any of the people who are attacking you, Austin, and stuff like that, these online people, he says just call them bloggers because they really hate that. Yeah, I know. So if you call Sam Harris a podcaster, said the podcaster, then then you know that the journalist is trying to needle them. So a prominent writer and podcaster is how they describe Sam Harris. But he declared on Wednesday that conservatives should not have opinions on topics like climate change and vaccines. What a dunce. He says, we're swimming in a sea of misinformation. Yes, of which many people like yourself have actually put out there. He says, where you've got people who are moving the opinions of millions of others who should not have an opinion on these topics. There is no scenario in which you should be getting your opinion about vaccine safety or climate change or the war in Ukraine or anything else that we might want to talk about from Candace Owens, right? Now, regardless of your opinion, your feelings about Candace Owens, and I know people have a wide, diverse view of opinions about Candace Owens. Everybody gets to decide for themselves. What was the quote that I read recently online where Sam Harris was just, it was really going viral, where it was Sam Harris, somebody from the chat hooked me up with this, where it was all about Sam Harris saying that, it wasn't just this one about opinions, but it was about Sam Harris talking about just that not everybody should be allowed to have opinions in general. I mean, was this the exact quote? Because I saw some meme that was going around that was a Sam Harris quote, and honestly, I mean, this guy has gone downhill so fast. And the one that really, I think, put him on the map for me as someone who Sam Harris was someone that I used to look up to. I used to admire. I read his books. I really appreciate what he had to say. I thought he was a great intellectual. And now, well, I have to say that he's really lost a lot of luster. And now I kind of think the guy's a bit of a dunce. What do you think? Take a listen to this interview. This was posted by Glenn Greenwald, where it's Sam Harris talking about censorship. Take a listen to this.
I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China. It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view, right?
Pause for just a second here, because let's think about this, like what Sam Harris is saying. Here we have Joe Biden pushing this executive order on guns, talking about the dangers of guns, all about, obeying the law on guns, new gun law on guns. And then you have all these pictures of Hunter Biden smoking crack with prostitutes, naked, while holding a gun in his hand. I mean, no matter how you feel about guns and, if people who are doing drugs should be allowed to have guns, which I know libertarians have some opinions about that. It just goes to show what hypocrites they are, right? Because it's really not about guns, because they're gonna have guns. People like Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the elites of this world, they'll always have guns. They just want to make sure that all of the guns are pointed at you. They don't want any of the guns pointed at them. They want to own all. Their idea of gun control is that they control all of the guns and that they're pointed at you so that you can't do anything about it. All right. Well, Sam Harris has obviously lost a lot of luster for me. Harris justified using this left-wing conspiracy, he said, to defeat Trump's 2020 reelection bid, which triggers a lot of conservatives, I know, because they think that the 2020 election was stolen, even though I don't think it was. It's mine. The fact is that people like Sam Harris exist in a bubble and are prone to the same confirmation bias as anybody else in politics. And I gotta say, I think he's kind of a dunce. Yeah, I think he's one of those people that are so smart that they're stupid. All right, when we get back, I've got a list of things. What is this? I'm getting this weird message. of small habits that make you unlikable. We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. How are we feeling out there today? Good. Glad to hear. Nice. Glad everyone's in a good mood today. I guess it is Friday Eve, so it's time for us to start having a little bit of fun. Thanks so much for tuning in. Quest Fanning, John Knox, Chris Morrill, our lovely Rare Camellia, who'll be joining us on the show today at 8 a.m. Don't we all love Rare Camellia? Yes, we do. The nice thing about Rare Camellia is that she's got all of the little personality traits, all the little quirks that make people like her. She's got good habits. She's punctual. She's timely. She's friendly. She's fun. She's outgoing. She doesn't let the small things needle her too much, although because we're friends and I know her, I'm able to find her weak spots and make her blush and make her feel flummoxed. I do believe that is a $5 word, yes. At minimum. I mean, it's almost really $10. Because she doesn't have any of these small habits that makes someone unlikable. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And in about, looks like I'm running behind today. At 7:30 today, I'm going to talk to our friends from Gun Owners of America. I've got a list of 10 small habits that make you less likable. And I'll be going through that list today as we talk about other news as well. The number one habit that makes you less likable, and it's something that I probably do. Honestly, I don't know why anybody likes me at all, to be quite honest, because I think when I look at this list, I'm like, oh, I definitely have some of these traits. Constantly interrupting others. Yeah, one of the most annoying things in conversation. It bothers me like crazy, but I probably do it to other people. What about you? Nobody likes to be interrupted. And if you do it all the time, it is a surefire way to annoy people, right? So if, every time you try and tell a story or point, somebody comes in and tries to one-up you, constantly interrupting others is one of the most annoying things that you can do to make people dislike you. At first, when you start doing it, people may not mind too much, right? But after a while, people are going to start getting frustrated with you. Sometimes they're just going to shut down altogether, and they're just not going to invite you around, and they're not going to want to hang out with you. They're not going to want to let you play with their help you build a sandcastle. So make a conscious effort to listen more and interrupt less. Once you get the hang of it, though, people will start to be kindly with you again and start to bring you back into their circles. I apologize that the internet and a lot of other things, other factors this morning have gone into making me a little bit late time-wise. So I promise I'm not going to a commercial break right now because I'm greedy. I'm going because I need to go get my buddy from Gun Owners of America because it's almost time to do that. So please forgive me. I'm playing a commercial break, but it's only because, again, not because I'm a greedy pig. Maybe I am a little greedy. Maybe that's a habit that makes me less likable. But I'm going to go to a commercial break very briefly, and I'm going to get our friend from Gun Owners of America to talk about Joe Biden's unconstitutional executive orders on gun control. Why don't we do it? Do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do it. We go here. We go there. We go Gun Owners of America being everywhere. All right, be right back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great! Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me Pops build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Glad to have you here. Andy Opperman, Quest Fanning, Matt Unruh, and all of our friends over on rumble.com this morning, which I see we've got a nice big crowd this morning. Good to see you today. We really appreciate all of our friends of freedom joining us on the Wake Up America show. If it's your first time watching the show today, make sure that you click subscribe to the channel that you're watching us on so that you can get updates whenever we go live, which of course is every Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central. Just a brief update before we get into the next segment for those who are fans of the show who might not have heard. I will be going on vacation. I know everybody else already took their spring break, but I'm taking mine at the end of the month. So my wife and I will be leaving on the 25th, and we won't be coming back for 11 days. So there will be no Austin Peterson hosting the Wake Up America show, yes. But don't panic. There's good news. There's hope. My brother Justin Peterson will be hosting the show, and he's going to do a terrific job. And here's the thing. pooping his pants. He's so nervous about hosting the show. So would you do me a favor, please? Would you just be nice to him?
No, God!
Yes.
No, God!
Yes,
Please,
Michael
no!
Scott.
No!
Please be
No!
nice to my brother. Justin Peterson will be hosting the show while I am out, and he will not be able to do 2 hours, unfortunately. I know you're upset. He'll do a 1-hour show. It'll be abbreviated, so you will still get a Wake Up America show. It's just that my brother will be hosting it, and it will be a 1-hour show, and then that's what you get there. No Aiden Johnston. Everything's just kind of falling apart this morning. We've got all kinds of stuff behind the scenes. It's like there's the studio's on fire. Things are falling apart. I just can't understand why things are falling. The internet's not working. Other things are like getting broken and wild mania. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. All right, there he is. Looks like Aiden Johnston's on standby. I'm going to be right back. I'll put you on standby. I'll be back in 30 seconds with Aiden Johnston. Here he is. All right, thank you for your patience. Welcome back. I'm Austin Peterson here on the Wake Up America show. I'm joined now by Aiden Johnston of Gun Owners of America. Aiden is the Director of Federal Affairs for GOA, and he's joining us now. Good morning, Aiden. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, Joe Biden's gun control proposal, unconstitutional, but it's not like there's not been a precedent for executive orders on gun control. I mean, Joe Biden has essentially said very plainly that he doesn't think that he needs any new legislation to create new laws. So, what does this all mean?
No, President Biden's done 2 unconstitutional executive orders already. This is his third. He said he wants to move the United States as close to universal background checks as possible without passing a new law. That is entirely unconstitutional. That is a violation of our separation of powers. The president is not supposed to enact new policy or new entire laws without the entire legislative branch. So we're going to fight back against this. We're going to push back. But honestly, this is just another example of the legislative branch ceding its authority to the executive, because Congress passed bipartisan gun control last year, and that legislation included a new definition, which is encouraging President Biden to take action today. The way he's going to go about this is by redefining what it means to be a gun store, therefore redefining who's required by law to run background checks, and he's going to try to include as many people as he possibly can.
So I have a massive amount of guns, and I had too many AR-15s, and I realized the other a couple of years ago. So I went to a gun show, and I was carrying around my AR-15, and I wanted to see if anybody wanted to buy it from me. I'm not a gun store. I don't carry, federal firearms license forms to walking around with. I don't even know where I would get something like that. So all I had to do a couple of years ago, I know people call this the gun store loophole. I like to call it American freedom and the Second Amendment. But an old guy wanted to buy my AR-15 from me. We did a little deal. He gave me some cash. I gave him the gun. That was it. But if I wanted to do something like that now, at least under Joe Biden's executive order, I'd have to perform a background check on that individual. Is that correct?
Well, we'll have to see the actual details when the Attorney General starts, issuing them, and when perhaps the ATF goes through a rulemaking process, and then we'll know exactly who is covered. But President Obama attempted this on his last day in office, on his way out the door, and President Trump reversed it. But under Obama's version, yes, that would probably be the case. And so I would imagine that would also be the case here under the Biden backdoor universal background check scheme. Now, interestingly, you don't just need to have to run a background check, but you're going to need to get a federal firearms license, which includes a lot of paperwork, an interview with the FBI and the ATF. The ATF is going to has to have access to your inventory of firearms. They can do inspections whenever they want to. And it's going to cost you about $500 per year. And you're going to have to make sure that your home is zoned for a business so that you can actually have that license. Otherwise, you're just straight out of luck. Maybe you won't be able to sell your firearms without possibly getting raided by the ATF.
Some people like to invest in gold and silver. I prefer iron and lead. Good morning. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm Austin Peterson, and I'm speaking to Aiden Johnston. He is the Director of Federal Affairs for Gun Owners America. Very briefly, before I get to my next question, just a brief reminder to let you know that I am giving away an AK pattern rifle chambered in 9mm. People were complaining about it yesterday. Ooh, it's not a real AK-47. Come on, it's quieter, it's more compact, it's compatible with your Glock magazines. Sign up at apforlibertyshop.com. You get a free entry to win an AK. I'm sure Aiden Johnston will be doing that as soon as his interview is over. But let's get to this question of what Joe Biden is doing. I was reading this story on Reason Magazine yesterday, Aiden. I wonder what your thoughts are on this. This is the headline. It says that the Department of Justice says that marijuana use, which Biden thinks should not be a crime, nullifies the Second Amendment. So even as the president bemoans the injustice of pot prohibition, his administration insists that cannabis consumers have no right to bear arms. So it's a felony under federal law, 15 years in prison if, and Missouri just legalized marijuana, if you own firearms, or if you try and buy one. Is it if you own one, or is it if you buy one? What's the law here, Aiden, and what does this all mean?
Yeah, so federal law says that if you're an unlawful user of a controlled substance, then you are prohibited from possessing or receiving firearms. That makes it a felony for you to fill out a background check form, because you'll have to check, no, you're not an unlawful user of a controlled substance, and then you'll have committed perjury on a federal form. Now, that's absolutely ridiculous. If you cannot lose your constitutionally protected rights for engaging in lawful activity under state law, that is a violation of your constitutional rights. President Obama freed a whole bunch of marijuana users, and President Biden wants to legalize marijuana as well, I believe. But this is completely ridiculous. They have a double standard for gun owners. They don't believe in your rights. They want to ban as many people from having firearms as possible. And so, sure, maybe they want to let you, smoke or have marijuana, but they don't want you to have a gun. So they don't mind leaving the gun ban in place and violating your constitutional rights.
Yeah, well, drink all you want, but don't use marijuana. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. There's a lot of inconsistency on this one. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm Austin Peterson, speaking to Aiden Johnston from Gun Owners of America. He is the Director of Federal Affairs for GOA, which is the premier defender of gun rights, the institution that does not back down from a fight for defending your Second Amendment. Unlike some of those other gun organizations out there, we can actually trust GOA to defend our Second Amendment rights. Now, what is the administration doing when it comes to, quote, assault weapons, to use air quotes here? Because I didn't quite catch what the administration wants to do when it comes to, the AK. I won't say it's AK-47, the AK pattern in 9mm rifle that I'm going to give away giftly for free to someone here very soon. What is it that they want to do to that AK pattern rifle?
Well, every chance he gets, President Biden says that he wants to pass another assault weapons ban. Of course, he's largely responsible for the assault weapons ban of 1994 that was in effect under federal law for 10 years. However, this is also another example of where the Biden administration has just taken executive action without congressional approval. So he's weaponized something called the National Firearms Act of 1934 that places restrictions on how short, if you have a short-barreled firearm, and says that if you have one that is less than 16 inches for a rifle, you have to register it with the federal government and fill out all this paperwork and pay a tax stamp to the federal government. And this rule that his administration has issued says that 40 million guns that people have already purchased over the last 10 years, up to 40 million guns, are actually illegal short-barreled rifles because they're not registered and you didn't pay the tax stamp. And therefore, you're going to have to register them, turn them in, destroy them, or rebuild them with a longer barrel by May 31st. So President Biden is just taking as many actions as he possibly can to ban as many guns as he possibly can, and to pass as many gun controls that, even if they're not authorized under current law.
Is there a chance that the courts might step in on this?
Well, so we filed a lawsuit. So we're actually asking the courts to step in and join this and make sure it doesn't go into effect by May 31st. Unfortunately, we filed the bump stock ban against the Trump administration when he chose to expand the definition of a machine gun, also weaponizing the National Firearms Act of 1934. And it only got struck down by another lawsuit in Texas years later. So unfortunately, I don't trust the court system very much with our constitutional rights, but we are trying that avenue. And I do think that we have a good shot with the bump stock case being having a strong ruling in favor of gun owners. I think that precedent can also help us to overturn this Biden administration pistol ban. However, we're also working with Congress to reverse this rule using the Congressional Review Act. And last night, 46 Senate Republicans introduced a Congressional Review Act joint resolution of disapproval, which they can force a vote on and send to the president's desk to overturn this rule. Now, the real question is, where are the other 3 Republicans who got elected on a pro-gun platform that beat Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins? At least 2 of those are the usual suspects. And then obviously there are some Democrats who also feign support for the Second Amendment when the election season comes up. That would be John Tester, Joe Manchin, Angus King. So we're interested to see where they are as we force a vote and see which senators support using executive authority to infringe on your rights and don't mind if Congress is circumvented in the process.
This is good stuff. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm Austin Peterson, speaking to Aiden Johnston. He's the Director of Federal Affairs for Gun Owners of America. Brief little segue here. Just want to say thank you very much to Matt Unruh live on the stream over there for the super chats. We're very grateful for that. That goes to help us to continue to fight for freedom. Probably not as well as our friends over at Gun Owners of America, though. We've got a very high opinion of the work that's being done by people like Aiden Johnston and others. Definitely the premier gun rights organization in the United States. One last little line of questioning here, Aiden. I'm reading this morning that Joe Biden is essentially looking to balloon the funding of the Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to nearly $2 billion, up about 50% from the Biden administration. They're looking at increasing the budget to $1.9 billion to essentially deprive us of our constitutional rights. Your thoughts on this?
This is outrageous. The ATF has been growing since the Obama administration. It's up nearly 50%, as you said, and we have got to stop this. I believe that the entire fight over the Speaker McCarthy was about whether or not we were going to use the appropriations process and the budget for next year to fight back against President Biden's weaponization of the federal government. And this is a prime candidate for that. We have got to cut the ATF's funding. We should be abolishing the ATF. They should be doing absolutely none of the law enforcement that they are currently doing because they don't have the authority. The federal government doesn't have the authority to regulate firearms under the Second Amendment. It says shall not be infringed. So at a bare minimum, we cannot be allowing the Biden administration to grow the ATF to almost $2 billion. All those bureaucrats do is infringe on your rights all day long. And we've got to stop that.
And that's a great analysis. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners before we let you go?
Thank you so much for having me on. It was great to talk to you guys about gun rights. If you're interested in becoming a member, we are here in DC every day. I'm walking the halls of Congress, and so is my team to defend your gun rights. Also, our attorneys are in court, so you can go to gunowners.org and join us, become a member. We'd love to have you.
Gun Owners of America, the only no-compromise gun institution in the United States. We salute you, we support you, and we are grateful that you are there. Aiden, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. If you're a supporter of gun rights, I definitely recommend checking out Gun Owners of America at GOA.org. And if you love guns, guess what? I'm giving away a free one. Social media doesn't want me to talk about it, but if you go over to my website right now at ap4libertyshop.com, you can register for free to win an AK patterned rifle. We call it an AK pattern rifle. Just call it an AK-47, because yesterday when one of my friends who's a gun rights enthusiast retweeted my giveaway, people were like, "Oh, I don't like it. It's not an AK-47. Ooh, it's chambered in 9mm. First of all, AKs and ARs chambered in 9mm are friggin' awesome. because first of all, they're quieter than the standard round. It's typically less expensive. I can get 9mm much cheaper than I can get 5.56 or 7.62 that you would normally get for, an AK pattern rifle. And it's just fun as hell to be able to just plink away with a 9mm rifle. And I think it's cool. You know what? I'll tell you what, I'll just keep the AK. What do you think about that, huh? No, all right, fine. I'll give away the AK rifle. I'm going to call it an AK-47 though. I don't care. Yes. So if you want a free chance to win an AK-47 rifle chambered in 9mm, head over to my website at ap4libertyshop.com. That's ap4libertyshop.com. AP number 4, ap4libertyshop.com. Right at the very top, you'll see where you can enter in your email address. And if you already have bought merch from ap4libertyshop.com, you're entered to win. Congratulations. I still want you to go to the ap4libertyshop.com anyway, though, and buy some stuff because it's awesome. I mean, come on. Where else are you going to get this awesome Caucasians team shirt? Oh, wait, all the millions of Chinese bot sites and imitators that copied my design because I came up with that pattern. I came up with that, by the way. That Caucasians pattern with the Chad in it. Yeah, I know that the whole Caucasians joke's been around for a while, but I'm the one who put the Chad meme on it and made it awesome. Check it out during the commercial break. I'll be right back, and we're going to talk about small habits that make you unlikable before we get to Camellia Peterson at 8 o'clock on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Good morning to the Cantina crew. This is Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for watching the Wake Up America Show. I've decided that Austin Peterson will be the new CEO of Twitter.com, effective immediately. First thing to do, though, is I've got to go and blast off into space.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors. What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
It's me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. You in a good mood today? Good. Nice to see you today. Happy to have you here. We're looking forward to having Camelia Peterson on the show here in about 5 minutes. I'm sorry that I'm so late with everything today. It's just, you know, you have one of those mornings where like everything goes wrong. I just can't wait until tomorrow because it's going to be so much easier to do the show when Stephanie is here. It's always way more fun and easy when you've got your wife to just bounce things off of. And she's right over in the live stream, by the way. We are very happy people in general, and we're glad that we can spread a little bit of that sunshine for you in the mornings and get your day started right with some of the best in news and opinion on the Wake Up America show. All of the Cantina crew usually likes to hang out over on YouTube, so if you are over there today, all 38 of you, would you mind giving us a like on the stream to help us get out into other people's feeds? We'd be very grateful. And for all of the rumblers this morning, of who we've been having a big crowd as well, is rivaling the size of the Cantina crew. Oh, we got like competing crews over there. Big shout out to our friends over at Rumble. Make sure that you click like on the video over there as well. We'd love it if you drop a comment, introduce yourself, because we like to make it personal, make friends on the Wake Up America show, build a healthy, positive community of liberty activists and people who believe in freedom, conservatism, and people who basically just want to have smaller government and have a little bit of fun as well. All right, so let's move on. Lists. Oh yeah, I've got this great list. 10 things that are small habits that make you unlikable. Number one on the list, I already talked about a little bit earlier, was constantly interrupting others, right? One of the most annoying things that can happen in conversations is getting interrupted. For me, it's one of my big pet peeves because everything that I say is very important. Yeah, it's maybe a big ego thing. I have no idea. But I feel as if interrupting people is really one of the rudest things you can do. I have to hold back on that because I'm bad at it, and I'll admit it. Fact is that, you know, you have to just be patient, allow someone to finish their thought, and then continue on. Unless you're their boss or what have you, and then you can just tell them what to do and say, shut up. Number two, talking too much about yourself. Oh, man, another one. Let's not be a very good person. Yeah, we've all got interesting short stories to share. Certainly I've got my share of them. But if you dominate the conversation with your own awesomeness, people are going to get bored. Honestly, it doesn't matter how awesome your stories are. People are going to get sick of it. You know, you ever been to a dinner party with people who just won't stop talking about themselves? God, who was it, Stephanie, that you and I were just, was it recently? We were hanging out with somebody and they just would not stop talking about themselves. Oh, no. I don't know if Stephanie was there. Maybe it was when I was in Towson, Maryland or something. It was like, it was recently. I just sat down and I was like, I just met this person and they didn't even have any good stories, but they just kept talking about themselves. And I was like, wow. I was like, okay, well, this person really doesn't have any interest in learning anything about me at all whatsoever. And, you know, again, maybe I'm an egomaniac, but talking too much about yourself is one of those small habits that makes you unlikable. Another one that I'm guilty of. This is a list of bad traits that Austin has. Being a one-upper, right? So this is another habit of people who talk to themselves that are talk too much about themselves are also prone to. one-uppers are annoying, period, right? So if you have a friend who does this, it wears you out, right? You know what I'm talking about. Whenever you share a story about your accomplishments, then they would respond with one of their one-upper stories. So like, oh, I did this amazing thing and I'm really excited about it. APforLibertyShop.com is really growing and blossoming, and the Wake Up America show is really growing and blossoming. It's like, oh, well, I was once I had my own TV show and blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's notorious. If you're on the East Coast, Quest knows what I mean. In New York City, you can't say anything. Like, you can't share any accomplishment in New York with someone that they aren't going to have some story to one up you and top you and just be like, yeah, it's so annoying. Yeah, lists of things that make you unlikable. I only got to number 3. Why is the music for the commercials playing? It's because I've got to go get Camellia Peterson, and I promise I'm going to try and cut these commercial breaks back. If Camelia's on standby ready to go, then we'll just make it quick. Usually we like to gossip before the show. I'll try and cut that off to a minimum. Do you hear me, CJ? To a minimum, all right? We're going to play one-upsmanship and talk about zero-tolerance policies when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Donald Trump and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Step right up, ladies and gents, to learn about the coolest president yet. He's not just any old prez, he's Calvin Coolidge, and boy oh boy is he different from the rest. He was quiet as a mouse, but don't you underestimate his power. He knew how to handle money, and he didn't waste an hour. He cut taxes, lowered debt, and balanced the budget with ease. No wonder the Roaring Twenties brought such prosperity and peace. But don't take my word for it. Grab a copy of Calvin the Coolest President and see for yourself. It's a children's book that'll make you smile and help your little ones learn about wealth. You can find it on Amazon Kindle or get your hands on a paperback at APforLibertyShop.com. So come on down and get yourself a copy of the book that's making waves all around town. You won't regret it, so get ready to be floored, because Calvin Coolidge, well, folks, he really scored.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy.
What a shit show. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to me, AP. Glad to have you here. How are you feeling today? I'll tell you how I'm feeling today, and just one little sad trombone sound right now. Everything's just... You know how you have one of those days, like everything just is completely going wrong? Well, that's the Wake Up America show today. Sorry about that. Everything's late. Everything's messed up. Everything's perfect, including my next guest. Peterson. How are you doing, CJ?
I'm doing okay. I think it's just today. I think it's Thursday. Excuse me. Because I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get on because everything was just taking forever. And anyway, I'm here drinking from my disappearing Bill of Rights. And
no, it's just funny. I'll let people in on a little bit of behind the scenes. So obviously I'm staying up, hanging out with with Steffi last night for her birthday, and we're having the celebration and stuff. So I completely forget to send Camellia the topic of what the hell we're going to talk about this morning. So Camellia is like, and I'm scrambling setting up the studio this morning because I'm running late. And Camellia sends me a message and is like, do we have a topic to be talking about today? And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like scrambling to find a topic while I'm setting up the show. And then the internet wasn't working. So anyways, feel bad for us is what I'm saying. Feel really bad for us.
Is
Life's
this one
really
of those
rough.
annoying habits?
Yes, have small habits that make you unlikable. If you're just tuning into the show, glad to have you here today. Make sure you click like on the stream so that we can get out in more people's feeds this morning. Just in time for Coffee with Camellia. Tolly Owens, nice to see you, Tolly. Your lovely face today. Tolly got herself some awesome Wake Up America show merch over at AP for Liberty Shop this week. I can't wait to see some pictures, Tolly. Send us some photographs.
Nice.
And definitely if you don't mind, Tolly, write a review over on the product pages. We've been getting a lot of great reviews for our products over at apforlibertyshop.com. Camellia, have you written a review for your?
Knew you were going to ask me that, and I totally forgot.
Boo! Bow to the Queen of Slime.
Hey, I wrote a review on your book. I at least got that done.
Thank you. I don't ask for a lot, except I actually do ask for a lot. But you know what the reality is, Camellia? You don't ask, you don't get in this world. Am I right?
Oh, for sure. I remember when I was a kid, I don't know where I came across it, and I adopted it and have used it ever since, is somewhere I came across the saying that many things are lost for want of asking. And I latched onto that and held on. Is this true?
No, it's true. And now that you formally work in politics, I mean, you got to go out there and you got to constantly be twisting arms in order to ensure that the agenda gets across. And I can't wait to hear a little bit more about the all of the drama that's been going on Twitter. I see you're getting trolled, and now somebody's set up a Substack to attack you, and I'm kind of excited to hear about that. But before we do, let's talk about the issues that actually impact people's lives, because honestly, does that really matter to anybody outside of our small circle? Probably not. Although our fans over and friends love to hear about our little insider gossip. But let's talk about this story that I sent you this morning about zero tolerance, because it applies not only to the gun laws that Joe Biden is passing by executive order, but it also applies to a pending law that the Missouri Department of Transportation is trying to pass. Essentially, zero tolerance is kind of like, it's just basically a huge fallacy in our modern culture, right? So zero tolerance policy on sexual harassment, tolerance policy on this or that, and it's unattainable. What's your take, Camellia?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so MoDOT's, Missouri's Department of Transportation, their little slogan is "Show me zero." And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. You always want to go for the ideal. We want to keep our idealism and our goals in sight, but also recognizing that most of the time it's just not going to happen. Shoot for the moon and you'll land among the stars maybe, but the problem comes in when they're trying to pursue utopia here, is that they think that they can accomplish that by creating more and more laws to regulate more and more behaviors and micromanage people. And the problem is the more laws you make, the more unintended consequences you get, and the more it ends up infringing on individual rights.
Totally agree. If you're just tuning in, I'm Austin Peterson, speaking to Camellia Peterson. Camellia, is there an earthquake down there in Southwest Missouri? Is your camera shaking all over the place?
Yeah, I know. It's probably me. Like, I'm getting excited. I'm shaking my camera.
Okay, that's what it is. All right, we just wanted to make sure that you're okay down there in Southwest Missouri this morning. Good. Glad to have you here.
I'll calm down.
Yeah, we're talking about zero tolerance policies, right? So nobody's suggesting that people should be, driving erratically, or that you should sexually harass anybody in the workplace. But it's kind of like, the problem is that because people are so litigious, and we live in a society where we put, hand guards on everything. Everybody ought to be wearing helmets all of the time, that you can't even make a simple joke anymore. We're kind of moving towards this dull gray in this quest for utopia. We're really just kind of turning everything into 1984. Am I wrong?
Sure, because I mean, we're humans. There's there's never going to be utopia. And the thing is like, this is the thing that everybody hits the libertarians for, As well, aside from just wanting to do drugs and illicit sex or whatever, illicit drugs and degenerate sex. I don't know,
Well, what's
whatever.
wrong with that?
I'm just saying that the other thing is like they just want a utopia. Well, you know what? So does everybody else. The Democrats have their version of utopia they want. The Republicans have their version of utopia they want. And and then it's all a difference in how you get there. And you're not going to get there on any of them, which is why people like you and I are somewhat unpopular for this, because we're stuck in the middle saying that everything is just trade-offs and there is no perfection. There is no utopia. And
all I want is to live in a world where gay married couples can defend their marijuana fields with fully automatic AK-47s. Am I right?
Right. So in Missouri, that you mentioned earlier, they are there's yet again a hands-free driving piece of legislation that's up, and they've tried to do this before, and we already have distracted driving laws. And so they're trying to do it again. And I swear they do this just to drive my blood pressure up. But, and the funny thing is I'm going to, maybe against my better judgment, I'm going to let a little something slip here. And I will tell you that I was with the senator who filed this bill when he got a call from the lobbyists who asked him to file it. And, it's the insurance companies, it's all these things. And the problem is that they say they have all this data, but when you actually start doing digging, cell phone use when it comes to overall fatalities, it is not significant. It is not the biggest factor by a long shot. No.
Wait,
I need to dig this back up. I just literally have no time to dig it back up, but I need to do it because I need to go personally lobby all of the legislators, tell them to quit being ridiculous, because all this does is give police officers more reasons to pull you over. And the thing is that the good police officers are going to ignore this because they know that it's not important. It's going to be the police officers who are just looking to make your life hell it's going to give them one more reason to pull you over and meet a quota or whatever else. And and more stops like that lead to more tragedies. We've seen too many of these.
Yeah, the sad thing is that in the situation that we've created is that it's the good police officers who are not obeying the law, and it's the bad police officers who are enforcing it to its extreme limits. I mean, this really is kind of like Frederick Bastiat's The Law, like the law perverted and the police powers of the state perverted along with it. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad to have you here. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click like and subscribe so that you can get updates whenever we do the show, which is, of course, Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 a.m. Camelia Peterson, who's joining us right now, is my friend. She is not related to me. She's not my wife. She spells her name S-O-N, like the barbarian hordes. And my last name is spelled...
Or his sister.
Or sister. Did you get sister?
I frequently get asked if I'm your sister, yes.
Okay, yes. No, my sister is Mexican. S-O-N and an S-E-N. I'm Austin Peterson. Glad to have you here on the show. Camelia joins us Tuesdays and Thursdays at this regular time slot. So if you like Camelia's POV, of course, then you get to hear it twice a week, and we're glad to have her here today. Camelia, in regards to like zero tolerance policies in the workplace, the whole sexual harassment thing. I mean, people do go too far. People do take jokes a little bit too far. Some people are inappropriate or inartful, but we've kind of turned our workplaces into these really cold. I mean, you have like an exciting and an interesting job, but most people, especially men, they go into these workplaces and you got to walk on pins and needles. I mean, you got to be careful what you say anymore, what you do anymore, because I mean, you're just one tweet away from having your life destroyed. I mean, people just can't have any fun anymore. What is it with people? Everybody's got to stick up their ass these days.
Right. And I think that is indicative of probably, I want to say really, I think it's probably the number one problem in our country and in our culture right now is that America is not going to die from socialism or anything like that. America is going to die for a lack of humor. And so I mean, so you're right. You can't make jokes in the workplace anymore without being afraid that you are going to be politically incorrect or step on someone's toes, and then they're going to go to HR, and you're going to have counseling sessions, and then they're going to look at your tweets, and then if you tweet the wrong thing or take the wrong perspective, then they've got to investigate that, and then you probably get fired. I know people who've gotten fired because of that specifically, but yeah, and I think that you're right. It's different for those of us who are not in an office setting all of the time, because when you're in that kind of setting, you're around those people 8 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week, and so the dynamic is a little bit different, and there are probably more challenges that come along with that. But if you're around people, the same people all day, every day, and you cannot have a sense of humor and let things slide, boy, that makes life hard.
No kidding. Camelia, what is this about a Substack being set up to attack you here in the state of Missouri? You're getting trolled. What's going on here?
So it's not just specifically me, but I'm being lumped in there too. We have had an ongoing issue in Missouri with some people on the right who have been stirring the pot on the education reform issue, in that they are opposed to school choice. And so for about 2 months now, I and some of my colleagues and other people that are involved in pushing for education freedom have been getting trolled. And it's one of those things where you ignore for a while, and it's like an annoying mosquito. Will they go away? And they haven't gone away. So yes, so constantly being trolled. And I am now, you may now call me an astroturfing sophist, paid political shill. Those are among my titles now. So I will lay claim to them and wear them proudly. but, but yeah, and you know what? The thing is this actually goes back to this idea of shooting for perfection, because what they are saying is that you can't have any kind of school choice legislation or issues without having some government strings attached, which is true. That's one of the things that we have to work very hard to make sure that we don't get. But when you get down to the bottom of what they are really wanting, they really still want just public schools. Now, I agree with them in that they also want public schools to be unshackled from the state, education authority, DESE in Missouri. And I totally agree with that. We are like on the same page there. But the thing is, and the difference is they also have the idea that once you give your money to the government, it's the government's money. And therefore, you are not allowed to have that money spent on education for wherever you want to send your child to school. That's crazy, first of all. And second of all, for us in Missouri, it has been a struggle. I mean, incredible struggle to even get open enrollment between public schools passed. It's still doubtful that it will totally make it all the way through, but maybe it will squeak by if it does. So if you think that it's that hard in an overwhelmingly red state like Missouri to get that done, but we are going to rein in DESE just like that, I am unwilling to tell kids who have no other options because of whatever reason, whether it's socioeconomic reasons, whatever it is, I'm unwilling to tell them that they have to stay stuck in their zip code and stuck in the school that they're in that may or may not be meeting their needs, because we have to wait to deal with, this other thing first with the public schools. No, we can do all things. And it's just, the thing is, people like this go down conspiracy rabbit holes, and it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, except for education, and you can't reason with them. So, what do? You just,
There's a list of insults that might hurt my feelings or pierce my armor or thick skin. Sophist is not one of them. Camelia,
I know, right?
Camelia, is there anything that else that you'd like to share with our listeners before we let you go today?
Well, you know what? Kind of somewhat related to that, I will say that there's a lot of trash talk on both sides, right, left, and libertarian, that talk about, yeah, right, all sides. Everybody likes to use lobbyists and dark money as their boogeyman unless they're on their side. And it's totally different when you come in. This has been someone that's been eye-opening for me, coming from my background, because I come into this as a single mom who's homeschooled my girls their whole lives. And I'm doing what I love. And I'm so grateful that there are donors out there, whether they're millionaires or whether they're average Joes, who are given $20 a month that donate because they want to see people advocating for them all the time. And I'm so blessed to be able to do this in a way that supports my family. And so, anyway, for awareness,
Yeah,
I'm a dark money enthusiast.
really briefly, and can you answer this one in a minute or less? A question from Jason Dirt on the stream says, "I have. How do you answer the question? I have no money, so how am I supposed to drive across town to the rich part to get my kids there?"
There is a huge difference between having no money for $6,000-7,000 in education and gas to drive across town. Enormous difference. So I mean, like, lots of people can do that may not otherwise, be able to do anything else. Yeah. And that's
Also,
a
here's
non-issue.
how much do you love your kids and want to care about them that you want to sit there and say, how much is it worth for me? How much would I pay to be able to get my kid the best opportunity, the best education possible? I definitely think a lot of people would pay a lot. So driving across town, probably a minuscule expense compared to, not sending your kids to, get indoctrinated or read drag queen story hour at the school library. Camellia
Yeah. And it
Peterson.
doesn't, it
Go ahead.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much anybody makes. I don't care how much you make. The thing is that it benefits poor people the most. But
Yes.
I don't care if rich kids take that money and go to school. They should be able to too. It's our money.
Oh, you elitists, out of touch, arrogant sophist. How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
I dare.
you?
How dare you?
How dare you? Camellia Peterson, thanks so much for tuning in, for coming on the show today. We really appreciate you very much.
Have a great day, everyone.
Have a good one. You sophist. How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you? Oh, wrong button.
How dare you?
Lou Perez is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes to talk about, well, Greta Thunberg.
How dare you?
And her tweet she had to delete because, well, the timeline on the profiteering, that's a good word, prophesying of the end of the world did not come true. When we get back, though, before we get to Lou Perez, more on the list of habits of things that make people not like you on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. I gotta go.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
I'm George. Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great. Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me Pops build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. How are you feeling today? Good. Good. Nice to see y'all here bright and early today. Glad to have you here. Will Linden is joining us this morning. Nice to see you, Will. It's been a little while. He said, Sam Harris, nobody is allowed opinions that contradict mine. Exactly. Very cringe. Jason Dirt joining us this morning as well, and dropping some great questions and comments. Said, as someone who both parents do shift work, having a bus that takes kids to school is a big issue I have. If you can't get your kids to the school, then it's hurting shift workers. I like the idea, but I can see the problems that need to be worked out. Yes, absolutely. It's a great comment there, Jason. For sure. Definitely something that needs to be addressed. I completely agree. We love to hear from our commenters, and if it's your first time here, make sure that you introduce yourself. We love to make new friends and new faces. We kind of consider ourselves a bit of a tight-knit crew on the Wake Up America show, and and we like to make friends with the people who come in and join us here this morning. So glad to have you here, Will Linden, as well as Jason Dirt. First time I've seen Jason here joining us today. All right, let's see. The Wake Up America show. Oh, yeah. Small habits that make you unlikable. I already listed the top 3 of these. This is my top 10 list, and I'll probably be able to get through it by the end of the show, hopefully. Number 1 was constantly interrupting others. The second one was talking too much about yourself. 3 was being a one-upper. The 4th one, and this is one that I feel like I've gotten better at over the years, although I'm not perfect, who is? Not listening. Right? If you're not actively listening to what other people are saying, it shows that you don't value their opinions or their thoughts. You might not be interrupting people or talking about yourself too much or one-upping, but if you're not listening, that's a huge turnoff just the same. Think about it. If the person you're talking to does nothing but scroll on their phone or look away, don't you feel disrespected? I'm guilty of this sometimes, but I am listening. So reading body language, it's so important. And especially like I tell my guy friends who are single, if you go on a date with a lady and she's there on her phone the whole time, what I say is that the first time that she does it, you say, is there something that you're working on? Do you need a few minutes to get something done? If they don't put the phone away and say, I'm sorry, and no, I'm not doing anything important. But if they don't put the phone away after that first clue, get the check, boom, and leave, because this is a person who will never put you as a priority in their life. Number 5, not respecting personal space. You don't go overboard and be overly engaging, right? That there is such a thing, right? Everybody kind of has their own comfort zone. And if you invade that without permission, you're going to come across as pushy, even if you're really just being friendly. Staring at somebody, standing too close to them, touching without permission. We've all been there, right? A close talker. Have you ever seen somebody do this? Lyndon Johnson actually used this to great effect, though. It can be bad for personal relationships, but good in politics, because Lyndon Johnson actually famously intimidated people by talking down to them, like literally leaning into them and like talking over them. Let's see if I can actually find a picture of that. Lyndon Johnson leaning in. Yes, yes, yes. Let me see if I can. Yes, there's a lot of pictures of this. I'm gonna pull this over for you right now from my Twitter weirdness file. Take a look at this. Lyndon Johnson did this. Yeah, take a look at this. See this body language here? Look at him. See how he's leaning in really high, really like heavy right there. Look at him getting in this guy's face. Can you see this? See what I'm talking about? Okay, so no, you can't see what I'm talking about because it's not the screen isn't big enough. Um, there we go. There you can see that one there. Check this guy out. See how Lyndon's leaning in? See, he's literally making the guy lean back. Look at that. Look at this. See the one in the top left-hand corner up here where I'm kind of indicating? See how like he's actually making the guy lean back. Lyndon Johnson did this all the time to intimidate people, got into their space. So if you can make it work like Lyndon Johnson, do it. But for most of us, you're not going to be able to pull off Lyndon Johnson. They called him the Master of the Senate. And it's also the book that was written about him. It's a great book. You definitely would like to read it if you'd like to learn about how to be. I read it when I was running for U.S. Senate. Turns out I didn't need it because... Nah, we all know what happened here.
How dare you?
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 How dare you, sir?
How dare you?
How dare you, sir? Lou Perez wants to talk about Greta Thunberg. He's a comedian, a libertarian, and he's going to be joining us here in just a few to talk about Greta Thunberg's deleted tweets. Gloom and doom. How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
Wrong button, Austin. Not the sexy button. It's
How dare you?
We'll be back with Lou Perez on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Step right up, ladies and gents, to learn about the coolest president yet. He's not just any old prez, he's Calvin Coolidge, and boy oh boy is he different from the rest. He was quiet as a mouse, but don't you underestimate his power. He knew how to handle money, and he didn't waste an hour. He cut taxes, lowered debt, and balanced the budget with ease. No wonder the roaring 20s brought such prosperity and peace. But don't take my word for it. Grab a copy of Calvin the Coolest President and see for yourself. It's a children's book that'll make you smile and help your little ones learn about wealth. You can find it on Amazon Kindle or get your hands on a paperback at apforlibertyshop.com. So come on down and get yourself a copy of the book that's making waves all around town. You won't regret it, so get ready to be floored because Calvin Coolidge, well, folks, he really scored.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
Any real-world experience.
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. How's my studio audience out there feeling? Wow, you guys are way more energetic than I have. You must have better coffee than I do. I gotta get rid of this weak crap. I gotta give me some good stuff. Just kidding, Steffi, just kidding. Coffee was delicious this morning, darling. Love you very much. If you're just tuning in the Wake Up America show, I am your host, Austin Peterson. Don't forget, over at apforlibertyshop.com. If you haven't heard the news, I'm giving away an AK-47 rifle. Hell yeah. Now, it's chambered in 9mm, which some people were complaining about, but quite frankly, if you own a Glock 19, you can take the magazine from your Glock and stick it into your AK-47. So if it's like The Last of Us, End of Days, and people are turning into mutant frog people or whatever it is, then you can interchange your Glock mags with your AK-47. Sign up to win a free one at apforlibertyshop.com. All right, well, he didn't make the top 10 hottest libertarian list this year. Maybe next year. The next guest joining us, Lou Perez. He's a libertarian author and a comedian, and he's joining us on the show right now. Good morning, Lou. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and this is my opportunity to woo you for next year. So I got to drop a few pounds. I got to get some abs going. But I think I might make the list.
I gotta say, I didn't realize that you were so handsome, Lou. This is my first time kind of like being able to interact with you, in somewhat semi-person in a sense. Glad to have you here, Lou. I played this little Greta Thunberg clip. I've got a Stream Deck button that I hit where she said, "How dare you? How dare you?" And it's just perfectly appropriate to so many situations. She must be feeling outraged now that people are calling her out for her latest tweet, which was deleted, where she called out climate predictions of 5 years until the end of the world. What's your take on Greta Thunberg's claims of the apocalypse coming in such a short time period and then deleting that tweet?
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure we're allowed to contradict her, right? Because there were a few years where you weren't allowed to contradict anything she said. Like whatever she said, she was allowed to just put it out there into the world, into the ether, into the ozone, and then you just had to let it go. But I think she's like 19 or 20 now, so she's no longer what I call debate bait. It's like jail bait, but for debate. It's like, oh, dude, you're interested in debating children? What's wrong with you, man? So now I guess she's a young lady, and we can go, we can go at her. Yeah, I thought it was really funny that for somebody who's very interested in mass extinction to make one of her tweets extinct. That was pretty interesting. Excuse me, my video keeps going in and out.
So don't worry, we can hear you just fine, Lou. Continue.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried because she is such a profound, important figure, in the environmental movement, that I wonder if like there are scientists out there who are going to be like, we can't let her look bad. We have to end the world. We have to like go out of our way to find a way to actually bring this to fruition.
Why does the left love her so much? I mean, what is it about her that's special or interesting other than the fact that she's autistic?
I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised that she's autistic and she's not libertarian. I mean, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Like that's something you don't see every day.
There was a Popular Reason magazine article that came out 5 or 6 years ago, I think, that tried to scientifically or pointed a scientific study that suggested that libertarianism causes autism. And after having run for president of the United States as a libertarian, and having met thousands of them, I can confirm that it is true.
Yeah, yeah. After your run, you just started like counting cards in Vegas and
But how
stuff like
come
that.
none of our autistic libertarians get the same press as Greta Thunberg? We've got people in the libertarian movement who are always constantly predicting disaster, the end of the world, the financial crisis, the economic predictions of absolute disaster. I mean, come on, how come we can't get a little bit of love?
Well, I think probably the reason why is because the solutions to that libertarians put forth is getting rid of government, whereas the solutions, or lack of solutions, for the Greta Thunbergs of the world is more government, more control. How could we centralize this more?
Yeah, for sure. If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show, I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Make sure you click like on that stream so that we can get out there to more people. Nice to have you here joining us today. My guest now is Lou Perez. He's a comedian and an author. We're talking a little bit about Greta Thunberg deleting her tweet where she predicted disaster in 5 years if we didn't make a move on oil and gas. Now, she's not the only person to make these kinds of predictions. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others. I mean, but these people, they live in this constant state of fear. It's no wonder that none of them can take a joke, Lou. They're terrified, but they love being terrified. They get off on it. For them, it's like a fetish. It's like this weird sexual kick. Remember when she actually made that speech, that statement where she goes, "How dare you?" I mean, the people in the audience were nearly orgasmic.
Yeah. Well, I think that, like, how dare you, with it comes like this idea of, oh, it's my fault. Like, I actually have power. Like, I am actually bringing upon the end times. And I think there are a lot of people out there who their whole lives are so joyless that, they'll reach for any little thing that they could have to actually have like some impact on the world. So if even if that impact is sort of like, oh man, it's my fault this thing is ending, like, they're into it. It's a power trip in a weird way.
But there's something about humanity that we have this desire for a savior. We all kind of look forward to it. I remember when I was a young man and first getting into politics like 15, 16 years ago. And, for me, that was Ron Paul, right? I thought he was going to save the world and this campaign was going to change everything. And, turns out that it was going to be a little bit harder to bring about libertarian ideals than I thought. But there are so many people out there like Greta Thunberg and others, not Ron Paul, but people who are willing to take advantage and sort of have this savior complex. Certainly the Democrats have this for sure, but it happens on the right. I mean, look at MAGA republicanism. I know I'm going to get in
Mhm.
trouble now from my MAGA friends, but I mean, there is this, what is this? I don't share it. I don't anymore, at least. Maybe I've just disillusioned. But I don't need a savior. I don't want anybody to save me, right? I don't feel it this way. I can't identify with people's desire for a savior. I know I'm offending literally every religious person right now, Lou, but I don't know. Do you feel the same way? I mean, like, I don't want to be saved. What about you?
Man, I think I picked the wrong show to come on and let everyone know that I'm the Messiah. Man, I
Yeah.
really damn. I didn't choose this one right at all. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I mean, I think I'm in a little bit of a different world. I just turned 41, so I guess I'm middle aged, and I have two young kids, and so much of my being right now is just literally saving them. Like this morning, this might be like TMI, but any parents out there, like, my kids have had some bad diarrhea, man. And they've been waking up at like 3 a.m, for mommy or daddy to come and save them. And I kind of figure, like, that's sort of the limits of my saviorship, is like being able to change a diaper and comfort a 3-year-old, or 1.5 year old. Anything beyond that is just asking way too much of me. So my world is very much like the day to day. And I think there are a lot of people out there, who maybe they don't have that, so they're looking, well beyond that, and are in need of, I don't know, someone to come and just and fix everything for them.
The left is notoriously humorless. Mark Twain famously said that against the assault of laughter, nothing can stand. One of my favorite tactics of going after the enemies of liberty is to make fun of them, to sort of, I guess you might say, harass them by making jokes about them, making comedies, making fools out of them in a sense, which of course gets me suppressed on social media, banned on social media, because you're not allowed to make fun of our leaders. You're not allowed to make fun of Joe Biden or the fact that he's quite obviously suffering from dementia or things like that, because you're picking on someone who's a victim. I mean, we live in a world of victims, which of course makes them all humorless, because you can't tease anybody or make fun of anybody because they might be autistic, or they might have this, or they're a person of color, or they're this or that. But I mean, isn't comedy truly one of our greatest weapons against authoritarianism, Lou?
Oh, I think so, for sure. And comedy, when done right, not only are you going to elicit laughter, but it's also a great way to take on sacred cows. And depending on where the Overton window has moved, comedy is just a fantastic tool to have to point out, like, oh, wait a minute, you hold that view sacred. Let's see what we can pick apart, how we can pick that apart. And I think that's crucial. And I think, what you brought up too about, authoritarianism, it's so funny how, identitarian politics have played into that. I mean, remember when Kamala Harris is giving her speeches and people are pointing out that they don't make any sense. Oftentimes the charge will be, well, you must have a problem with her because she's a woman, or she's a woman of color. And it's like, she's the vice president of the United States. The most powerful person after that is the president. So it's sort of like, it's a real cynical move too, to protect authority and protect the expert opinion and all that, by saying, oh, you're only going after this person because of their immutable characteristics.
Yeah, I saw this morning there was some left-wing anchor, like Touré or whoever, what his name is. He comes out and says that calling people woke is now the new N-word, right? So it's always this desire to protect people who are in power by trying to claim some kind of a victimhood status, and that's really what the victimhood Olympics is all about. It's all about putting people into protected classes so that they can essentially be immune from criticism for what it is that they do. You can't say anything about Kamala Harris because she's a person of color. You can't say anything against Joe Biden because it's ageist, and until eventually what you realize is that, now see, you and I'm 42, you're 41, we're now a protected class. So you can't make fun of me for being old, or you for being 41 years old and having gray in your beard or whatever, right? We can't be made fun of because we're now a protected class. But what it all weighs down is that, Lou, I don't know if what your background is I'm white, pure white as the driven snow. You might have a little bit of Jewishness in you, I can't tell. Uh, but if so, then you get that protected class status. But you find out 40-year-old and younger white males, it's the only non-protected class and the only group of people you're allowed to make fun of. Am I wrong?
Well, I got to tell you, a lot of people, they often point out the size of my forehead. And I have to remind them, yeah, man, I have to remind them there was a time where the hairline was much further, ahead of further ahead. I don't know.
Same.
And it keeps going back. I think, when I'm kind of lucky in that I'm a comedian, and that I'm allowed to go back at people, give the same energy or intensity that they give me. And I think a lot of people who, have regular jobs are so used to just saying, okay, look, I'm just going to take it and just, move on, and just, I don't want any trouble or anything like that. But I think it's really important to, in a sense, fight fire with fire. And if, people are coming at you because you are, white or whatever, well, then that opens the door, to go back at that person with whatever the hell they have.
But they are coming after comedians. They are trying to cancel comedians, and the only comedians who really, can stand up to it are the ones who are so rich and powerful that they're cancel proof. People like Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan or others. But people like yourself or myself, or people who are a little bit, lower down the totem pole and things like that. Even comedians, we can be canceled. I'm sure you'd love to play comedy clubs, but Joe Rogan's new Austin, Texas comedy club might be the only one that you could play at because you don't have the right politics. So comedians are on the chopping block too, aren't they, Lou?
Well, it's funny. It's funny you bring that up. For one, Joe. I'm more than happy to do some shows at
Sure.
your
Yeah, I'm
comedy
sure.
club. Let me check my schedule. But I think you bring up a good point. It's almost like classist in a way, where it's sort of like, okay, if you're Dave Chappelle, Ricky Gervais, Joe Rogan, really successful, rich guys with with FU money, then you could say what's on your mind. You see it also as well with like figures like J.K. Rowling as well, where other people would easily fold because they don't have the bank account in order to to stand up to bullies. So I think it's really important for independent creators, people who aren't at that stature yet, to have the support under them, to have the numbers under them. So I think that's why now is probably there's no better time to be an independent creator, because you're able to find your audience, and there's no more important time than now for your followers to support you, especially if it's monetarily too. Getting messages like keep up the hard work and all that, and I love your stuff. Those are great, but ultimately being able to toss a few bucks here and there is totally helpful.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, those my friends who I like to call the Cantina crew, who joins us here on the Wake Up America show. Without them, there's no way I'd be able to continue to do this. I mean, I basically do a 2-hour television show essentially
Right.
every day, and the only way that I'm able to sustain this is through the support of my audience, who likes my opinions and who agrees with me, and are essentially making me cancel proof just by through their support. I don't have to answer to any boss, any kind of corporate conglomerate. I don't have to please advertisers to a large extent, because the only advertisers who come on here know exactly what I'm all about and what I have to say. So you're right, it is a good time to be independent. It is a good time for us to be able to go out and be able to speak our mind and say what we want to say on our own independent networks. But social media and big tech really don't like that, Lou. I mean, there is a lot of danger to people who have your points of view and my points of view, who are anti-authoritarian, because we can lose access to our audience because of the sort of, I won't call it a monopoly, but it's certainly a near monopoly that many of these major institutions have in regards to broadcasting or streaming and things like that online. That is a challenge that we are going to have to face. No.
Oh, no, totally. And I think, anybody who's, been paying attention to like the Twitter files, for example, it's sort of, I think all of us sort of in the back of our minds, we're like, yeah, there's something kooky happening. But to find out just how deep it goes is, it's troubling on multiple levels. And, just from the perspective of a creator, I started out in the early days of YouTube, where it's sort of, the Wild West, where you would, put out your videos, and it was like, oh, here's something interesting, instead of, doing like a live sketch comedy show where maybe like 50 people show up. Here I'm putting out a video, and now thousands or potentially hundreds of thousands of people are seeing it all over the world. Like, that's amazing. So, when you turn around and you have, 15 or 20 years invested on social media, like your brand, and you built that up, to see that go away is just incredibly painful, and while, I'm still of the mind of, private companies get to, make their rules and all that. It gets really, really, frustrating when there's an obvious collusion happening with, governmental power and corporate power.
Exactly.
I forget what the word is for that. Isn't there a word for that? Fascism or something?
There is a word for that. Yes, they do call that fascism, as a matter of fact, and that's it's nice to actually hear that word being used in its proper context. And speaking of alternative social media platforms, I think for the very first time in Wake Up America show history, we actually have more viewers on Rumble than we do on YouTube. So that's a good sign. We actually really love to see it. Of course, we'd love to be successful on YouTube, but it's nice to see that there are alternative platforms out there. Good morning to all of our friends over on Rumble. Thank you for joining us today. Lou Perez, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners before we let you go?
Yeah. So I wrote a book. It's called That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore: On the Death and Rebirth of Comedy. It's available everywhere, Amazon, There's an audiobook version as well. So if you don't want to read yourself, I will happily read to you. And I'm going to show one more time. And if you guys could pick that up, that would be a huge, huge help.
For sure. Check out his book, That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore. Lou Perez for his first time on the Wake Up America show. What do you say? Should we have him back? Yeah? Good. Wow. Studio audience seems to really like you. All I have to do is hit a button and then they cheer. Thank you very much, Lou. We appreciate you very much. Thanks for your point of view and for standing up for liberty, because that's what we're all about here. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you very much. What did you think of Lou Perez? Send us a text. 573-319-1586 is the text line. I'm just not even going to go to a commercial break because normally I would after that interview. But we've got so many people watching us, so especially over on Rumble. I'm like, yo, what up? Alejandra J over there. Nice to see. That wasn't chicken over there as well. Good to see you. We love having our friends over on Rumble. We've got like 43 people watching us over there, and then I think 32 over on YouTube, which if you add it up, 4, 5, 6, 70, 75 people, maybe 10 or 20 watching us over on Facebook. It means we've got about 100 people watching us there live on all the platforms that we're multi-streaming to. I'm super grateful to all the support from all of our friends on all the different platforms that we're on this morning, and we're grateful to have you. Very briefly, we do the show ends at 9 a.m. here, so about 7 or 8 minutes until the end of the show. Sorry about that, but I do have some good news. How would you like a free AK-47? Oh no, that's not a joke. I am giving away a free AK patterned rifle chambered in 9mm, and it's going to happen about a month from now. I haven't decided the date to end the giveaway, but if you haven't heard the news yet, in honor of President Joe Biden's gun control proposals, I am giving away one of those scary rifles, those scary black rifles that Joe Biden, the Democrats, really want to get rid of. So if you have ever purchased from apforlibertyshop.com, then you're automatically entered to win. Yes, isn't that nice? Great. But if not, if you have not purchased from apforlibertyshop.com, you got to give us your email. What do you mean, boo? I'm only going to use it to send you emails so that I can try and market to you so that you might one day actually purchase from apforlibertyshop.com. Right. What, Austin? What are you, some kind of capitalist? What, are you just trying to make money, bro? You just trying to make money? Yeah, I am a capitalist, so I practice what I preach. If you head over to apforlibertyshop.com, you can see at the very top of the website there, you can sign up to win a free AK-47. Just type your email in there and you will be entered to win. I will give it away about a month from now when I get back from Japan. So if you'd like to get a chance to win one of these beautiful AKs chambered in 9mm, join AP's gun grab. No, I'm not going to grab your gun. I'm going to give you one. You can grab my gun. Yes, you can grab my gun, and just give me your email, and then you will be signed up to win. I will pick one person at random. And by the way, I do have to make it legal, meaning that I have to follow all applicable laws for the transfer of firearms. So, sorry. If you live in one of those states where you can't have a gun like that, you're not eligible for that. I'm sorry. I know.
No, God!
You move to a state that values your freedom, for God's sakes. What do you want me to do? And if you haven't checked out AP for Liberty Shop, we've got every single day, we have got brand new merchandise in the AP for Liberty Shop store, because basically Stephanie and I never sleep, never stop working. Except for this week where her mom's in town. My lovely mother-in-law, who's beautiful and wonderful and I love very much, is joining us. So yeah, patriotic American libertarian and conservative gear. Go visit AP for Liberty Shop, 3D printed merch shop of fun. You know what a lot of people are really buying these days? Like this last week from the 3D prints, the Killdozer. Everybody likes the Killdozer right there. And those things take forever for me to produce and print and clean up and send out. So if you want one, get it soon, because honestly, the fact is that at some point I'm gonna have to take them down from the shop, and then you won't be able to get one. And I'm not going to be able to make them away in Japan. So if you want a Killdozer, get your order in today. Yes, Brian Lewis, can you move to Missouri for a day? Yeah, but then you couldn't take your gun with you, bud. Check out apforlibertyshop.com. Get yourself a 3D printed Killdozer. We've also got some awesome Donald Trump Buddhas, George Washington Buddhas, Thomas Jefferson Buddhas. The sound of the drilling and scraping in the back means that it's time for me to end the show. They're building a brand new studio back there. We've got all kinds of awesome new tees, Christians jerseys, Caucasians jerseys, Indians jerseys. One of my favorites, though, actually is Mexicans, Team Mexicans. If you're on Team Mexican, you can get yourself that awesome thing. Go to apforlibertyshop.com, register to win the AK-47. Okay, it's not an AK-47. It's just a regular, it's an AK chambered in 9mm. And we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Freedom Friday, which means the lovely Stephanie Peterson will be joining us on the Wake Up America show. It'll be Family Friday. Aren't you excited about that? First interview since she had her birthday. Thanks so much to Jason Dirt, Doug H., Elizabeth Press, A.L. Wild, Brian Lewis, Matt Unruh, our friend Agorizer, John Knox, R-Volt24, Rare Camellia, Elizabeth Press, all of our great friends this morning for joining us, as well as our friends over on Rumble. I got to give it to you, Rumble. 45 people over there watching now. That's some good numbers to see. I'm really thankful to Rumble for putting me on the front page. I've actually personally invested in the Rumble platform, not just my energy and streaming over there, but I'm also invested in their stock. So I want to see them perform and succeed and do well. So big shout out to my Rumble friends this morning. Hope to see you again really soon. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you sign up for that contest over at apforlibertyshop.com. Get yourself a free AK-47. Won't that be nice? We'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today. Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.